Verkerk's Urban Homestead and Beekeeping. And tonight we're in the workshop, and I wanted to show you a little bit about how I'm transitioning from foundation frames to foundationless frames. The reason why I'm doing that is because I believe that the bees do better by pulling their own comb and the size that they want to, whether it be drone comb or brood comb or honeycomb. I think that they just do better pulling the comb size that they want to. So I'm transitioning. What I'm doing is I'm going from frames like this. This is a plastic foundation. The cell size on this is a little bit larger than what the bees would normally pull. And the thought process on that is that by allowing them to pull their own comb size, it is one way that you can combat mites. Now it's still out, the jury's still out on that, whether it actually works or not, but I'm transitioning into it just because I think that it's better for the bees. Now, in my honey supers, I'm still using medium frames with plastic foundation. Why is that? Well, when I go to extract my honey from my honey supers, I need a foundation that's in there when I put it in the extractor so that the comb doesn't blow out of the frames. So in my honey supers, I am still using plastic foundation, and if you're using extractors, it would probably behoove you to do the same. Otherwise, you're going to make a mess inside the extractor. Another way that you can do this process, some of you are using wax foundation. Maybe it looks something like this, and it has wires in it. This happens to be for a medium or a shallow frame, but this is one way that you can go more natural, is by using a wax foundation like this. However, I found that these cell sizes in the wax foundation is still a little too large. So I'm just going to go away from using any foundation whatsoever and allowing the bees to pull that out. One of the ways that you can do that is some of the frames that are offered out there actually come on the frame up here with a little tab that you can break off on the top, and you can stick it in there, and it creates like a triangle for them to build on. My particular frames don't have that. They just have a saw width blade down the center of them so that you can slide the foundation inside there. So I got to come up with some way to give the bees a point to pull the comb from. So what I've done is I've taken tongue depressors, and this particular one was one that I had actually glued inside of the channel just like this, and that's worked really well so far in my hives with allowing them to pull this off. One of the problems that I've encountered with that, though, is that the process of heating up the wax, coating the tongue depressor and the frame, and then pressing it in there and waiting for it to cool takes a considerable amount of time. The other problem that I have found too is that if you don't do it just right and you don't get enough wax down in there, you put this in the hive, and over time, whether it be the heat from the hive or the bees, or just that you didn't get it in there good enough, this falls out, just like so. And then the bees don't have a place to start from, and they may create cross comb or burr comb across multiple frames, and when you go to pull that out, if your comb's drawn across multiple frames, when you pull that out, it just makes a mess. So I've transitioned. One way that I did do it was just by a starter strip like this. Take a piece of this wax foundation and just start a starter strip for them, and that gives them a foundation to start on. Once they start pulling on that and they come down, then they can create their natural comb the rest of the way. This frame happens to be from an Eco Bee box out of Murray, Utah. I've had some success with those. They do pull the comb very quickly in those hives. They do build it up really quick. However, the bees tend to overpopulate and want to swarm a little bit. So I'm still working a little bit with that. But it's a great way to have comb honey, just like out of the frame. So that's one way that I do it. Another way that I found is that I'll take these extra large or jumbo tongue depressors, and I put them in here like so, and it's a much simpler. I use my staple gun. I think I use, let's see here, I use 1/4 inch crown staples, and they're 1 inch in length. And what I do is I come in here just like so, and I press that down, safety goggles on, and I just staple it right into the frame like so. And that seems to be a much quicker, much more secure way of putting these in here. Now, safety. You got to be really careful with this. It is a pneumatic tool. These staples will go right through your finger if you're not careful. Fortunately, I haven't done that, but you do have to be careful. I do recommend wearing safety glasses. I have had a few of these skip off and bounce off the table or whatever. Fortunately, they didn't go anywhere, but still, let's be safe about it and wear your safety goggles. So when you put it in there, it looks just like that. And now when you put the frames in there, they have a place to start building that comb, and it's just a guide for them. You're telling them to build this straight down. One word of caution that I learned the hard way. Once they start building on these frames, you can't use these frames and pull these frames out of your hive, and when you're looking at them like this, flip them over like this. What happens is, as some of you may know that are top bar users, is when you flip it like this, and if the comb's not supported on both sides and the bottom, when you flip it, that comb stays there and it will crack and fall right out of your frame. So you have to be very careful about that. So anyhow, that's how I'm doing it. Here's another size. These are a little bit smaller. You could still use these as well. And we'll give one a try right now, and I'll show you what that looks like. It just happens that the staple will go down a little bit further into the wood. Now, if you can see, right here, there's some space on either side that's left that doesn't have that starting point. Not a big deal. The bees will start in the center or near the center and start pulling that out. Once they start pulling that out, they know that's where it's at, and as they gravitate towards the sides, they'll pull that straight out as well. It's just a natural tendency. So anyhow, let's show you how I do these ones. Just the same way, you just stick that stapler right on there, and you shoot one, and it holds it in there nice and straight, and it just buries that staple just a little bit further down in the wood. And actually on these depressors or tongue depressors that are a little bit smaller, it actually works fairly well. So let's get a close-up of that so that you can see. The staples just hold it right down into the wood just like that. It'll crevice down into the tongue depressor just a little bit. Not a big deal. Gives it a solid hold. Just like so. Okay, so that's all there is to it. Hey, coming from my workshop, building some frames tonight. I think that's one of the funner things about beekeeping is building hardware. I hope that you do that in your apiary and you're not just buying it pre-made, because if you are, you're missing out of some fun. It is fun, isn't it, Addie?
Yep.
So anyhow, I'm Chris from Verkerk's Urban Homesteading and Beekeeping. I hope things are going well in your apiary and your workshop, and thanks for watching.